Anthropic is projecting some monster growth. Can they catch up with OpenAI? Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. Well, it turns out that Anthropic is expecting some extremely rapid growth over the next few years. The startup, as we have previously discussed, is currently courting investors, and as part of that are sharing some fairly eye-popping forecasts. According to leaked documents obtained by The Information, the company's base case is reaching $12 billion in revenue by 2027. That would be a big jump from last year's numbers, which were estimated at around $600 million. They also gave an optimistic projection showing the company hitting $34.5 billion in revenue by 2027. That would represent a huge catch-up to OpenAI, which generated 5 times the revenue of Anthropic last year, but only, and those are in a big air quotes only, forecast $44 billion for 2027. Now, more interesting, I think, than just the projections on their own are where they believe the growth is going to come from. The company has experienced significant growth over the last year. They had around $100 million in annual revenue for 2023 and saw monthly earnings grow from $8 million last January to $80 million by December. A big part of driving that was AI coding tools hitting mass adoption, specifically the explosion of usage of Cursor, through which many, if not most people, use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. For whatever reason, that model seems to be just the preferred model when it comes to coding assistance, and that's obviously a huge, huge use case for AI right now. When it comes to the breakdown of where this revenue is going to come from, Anthropic says that they expect API revenue to hit $20 billion by 2027, which is 3 times what OpenAI forecast for that year from their API revenue. Even in their base case projection, they have the API revenue beating OpenAI's API revenue. In terms of the specifics of the raise, it appears that Anthropic is trying to raise $2 billion at a pre-money valuation of $58 billion. Still, for the moment, these companies are juicing through money. Anthropic is projecting to burn $3 billion this year, which would be significantly less than last year, which saw a burn of $5.6 billion. Interesting stuff in how these companies see the future shaking out. One other Anthropic-related story, that company's CEO, Dario Amodei, has urged AI researchers to pick up the pace when it comes to understanding AI. Earlier this week, he called the Paris AI Summit a missed opportunity and urged, quote, greater focus and urgency needed on several topics, given the pace at which the technology is progressing. One of the things that was interesting about his comments is that he tried to shift away from the bifurcation of painting AI policy as a fight between safety on the one hand and opportunity on the other, as Vice President J.D. Vance had, of course, framed it, and instead effectively was arguing for the acceleration of research and thinking on the governance side as well. I.e., instead of deceleration on the pace of technology, he wants an acceleration on all the things that go around the technology. At a developer-focused side event, he said, it's definitely a race. It's a race between making the models more powerful, which is incredibly fast for us and incredibly fast for others, and our understanding has to keep up with our ability to build things. Moving over to big tech for a moment, even the Apple Intelligence features that were so far somewhat disappointing have not been available to iPhone users in China. That's because that country requires Apple to partner with a local builder on their iPhone models, and they've been in the process of selecting that partner. They had apparently initially selected Baidu, but that company struggled to adapt their larger models for iPhone use. Subsequently, they reviewed a number of companies, including apparently DeepSeek and ByteDance, but ultimately decided to go with Alibaba. They are, of course, hoping that this will drive an increase in sales. During last month's earnings call, CEO Tim Cook blamed a lack of Apple Intelligence for an 11% drop in Chinese sales. One more interesting one on Apple. According to longtime Apple insider Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple is, quote, exploring both humanoid and non-humanoid robots for its future smart home ecosystem. He said the products are likely still in the proof of concept stage and therefore wouldn't hit mass production until 2028 at the earliest. While many robotics companies are debating the merits of humanoid versus non-humanoid designs, Apple appears to be thinking differently. You might have seen a demo video shared by Apple last week which showed a robotic lamp. Taking a page out of the Pixar style guide, the lamp had human-like movements and gestures. The demo showed the lamp following as a person moved a book around a table, while the user could also wave to grab the lamp's attention and gesture for it to point at the wall. In an accompanying research paper, Apple described this as non-anthropomorphic design. The logic is that a robot who responds to gestures like a human could present a more natural UX than voice commands. Finally today, we always keep track of how companies are trying to bring chips in-house, and on that front, Meta is in talks to acquire South Korean chip startup Furiosa AI. According to Forbes reporting, the acquisition could be announced as soon as this month. Furiosa was founded in 2017 by former Samsung and AMD employees. They develop inference chips that could speed up the performance of Meta's models. Furiosa claims their RNGD chip offers 3 times better performance per watt than NVIDIA's H100. There you have it. That is going to do it for today's headlines. Next up, the main episode.